How's it going, everybody? Margaret the Fellowman here. So today, we're taking a look at a very interesting video. Once again, we're taking a look at an anti-woke loser, but thankfully it's a different one this time. Albeit with very similar mentality anyways, but thankfully with at least seemingly less vitriol in some aspects. It comes from a channel that goes by the name of Andy Pants Gaming, which has a profile picture that is the most 2000s wannabe edgy profile picture I think I've actually seen in quite some time, and it's a video titled, Who Killed Masculinity in Video Games? And I just don't even know what else to say, man, other than just, yeah, it's a fucking terrible video. I mean, I've already taken a look at it on stream, and I'm obviously not going to be going through the entirety of the video, just a few interesting tidbits, and just, you know, deconstructing and laughing at a few bits and pieces of this video here. After all, I don't think anyone wants to listen to me, well, yammer on about the same exact video that I've already taken a look at on two separate streams now. So without any further ado, let us sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and let's find out, I guess, who killed masculinity in video games.
Does anybody else feel like masculinity has slowly been drained from modern video games? I was looking at recent staff photos of Ubisoft and Halo Infinite developers, and it's all starting to make sense.
By the way, fun fact, this entire image right here is probably either heavily edited or probably an AI-generated image because, well, these people tend to use AI-generated images a lot in order to try and prove their point. Fun fact, this is the actual most recent staff photo of the Ubisoft team. Actually, I love to break it to you, my guy, but this is just a fake photo that either you decided to make or you ended up finding on some other anti-woke losers video and decided to use it as gospel. Already, you're starting off within like the first 10 seconds just straight up fucking lying to the audience, and I think that that's just genuinely hilarious.
It's a bunch of fat white liberal women. And white liberal women have no interest in masculine, manly, male characters. They wouldn't even know how to write one if they tried.
I really just love this caption right here for this particular photo, where it just says, why Halo Infinite was bad. No, it's not because of the fact that there are women on the fucking team. The reason why Halo Infinite was bad was quite literally because the leadership was bad. It has nothing to do with the developers and their fucking gender.
If you want to see the seismic shift away from masculine characters, honestly, all you need to do is play a few games from 2006, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Consider how many masculine military games came out in the 2000s.
I'm pretty sure I could also look in the 2000s and find quite a few games that would probably not fit the masculine energy that you supposedly think that they actually have, but whatever. I'll just go by your weird-ass logic and just constantly make shit up.
Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Brothers in Arms, Gears of War, Operation Flashpoint, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell. All of these games were starring men and had themes like brotherhood, duty, sacrifice, honor. Almost all of these franchises have either been killed off, turned into multiplayer games, or went woke.
I fucking hate this. Also, it's absolutely hilarious that the only reason why he's probably bringing up Call of Duty is probably because it's the only realistic military game that still exists nowadays. But the thing is that even fucking Call of Duty just genuinely sucks right now. And well, wouldn't you believe it, has nothing to do with them going woke or anything along those lines. It has to do with the fact that the leadership over at, what is it, Activision that fucking, you know, owns fucking Call of Duty? Yeah, the leadership over at Activision just fucking sucks.
I often wonder why so few modern games appeal to me, and I think another big reason is this. Everything is just so gay now.
Yeah, sure, buddy, whatever. I have a feeling, and especially with a couple of other parts that I'll probably include here later on, it just kind of seems like this guy is probably the most closeted gay man I think humanly possible.
Compare the games I just mentioned to the modern trash we have to deal with in Overwatch and Apex. Almost every character in these new games is either gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, or something else.
I mean, my main question, well, actually I have two main questions. Question number one, how the hell would you even know? I don't even play half of these games, so you'd have to try and explain this shit to me as to how he would even know this shit. But also number two, why should we actually give a shit? Like, you're basically comparing, like, realistic military shooters to more fantasy and high-tech and futuristic shooters. Of course, they're going to be two basically different genres, where the only similarity is that they're going to be first-person shooters. That's going to be the only fucking similarity. It's like me trying to compare fucking Ultra Kill to Doom. It just wouldn't fucking work. The only similarity is that they're first-person shooter-type games, but they're fundamentally different when you actually fucking look at them.
Like, what happened to a masculine dude with a hot chick on his arm?
Well, that hasn't really changed, albeit they mainly just kind of got rid of the hot chick on the arm and just still kept the masculine man. There's still games like fucking Doom that still are being created. I guess you just ignore those games and just decide to only focus on other types of games because, I don't know, you just need to have something to be mad at.
I love the idea of Xbox Game Pass, but I swear every time I open it up and look for new games, there's just so many games that look gay now.
I'm sorry, but I just simply have to point out right here, how the hell do these games even look gay? What, is it just because, oh, bright colors? Is this seriously the point that we're currently at? This man is trying to tout himself as some sort of big, manly, masculine, burly man, when in reality, he gets fucking offended over bright colors. What do I even have to say here other than just, you're not...
I refuse to play another cutesy 2D platformer or a game with a cutesy art style by some indie developer anymore.
Well, once you know it, you can just choose not to play those games because other games also exist. Do you often wonder why there's so many different games that exist nowadays? It's because, well, once you believe it, and this is something that'll be shown off here later that this man doesn't seem to understand, but there's multiple gaming communities that exist. Like, there isn't just the, ooh, the big manly masculine man audience anymore. And the thing is that it's never actually been that way. There wasn't always just only one audience for video games. There has always been multiple audiences for video games. Once you believe it, a lot of these games exist because there are those other audiences for video games. Like, obviously, I guarantee you a game like No Man's Sky wouldn't appeal to this guy because he's probably not into exploration and space simulation games. Meanwhile, someone like me, who is extremely fascinated by just, you know, the concept of traveling the fucking universe and just kind of exploring random shit and just seeing what I can find, that appeals to me, which is why I enjoy No Man's Sky. I guarantee you a game like Elden Ring wouldn't really appeal to this man because it's way too high fantasy and doesn't feature fucking AK-47s being shot into the goddamn sky while an eagle is screaming, but it appeals to me because I enjoy that high fantasy garbage, because it's fun as hell. Like, there's multiple different, like, communities within the gaming community, and unfortunately, it's weird assholes like this that try to make themselves seem like they are the entirety of the gaming community, or like the biggest part of the gaming community, when that isn't even the fucking case anymore, where they end up just making the entire gaming community look like absolute shit.
I'm just done with these games. If you want my 100% real thoughts on this, I just think the entire video game industry has gone woke and gay.
Well, let's see here. Let's quickly take a look at this imagery right here. Still wonder why games are so bad now? I don't understand the correlation here. What, bright fucking colors here? Pride stuff apparently equals games are becoming bad? Like, do I as a demi guy find this to be a bit pandering? Yes. Yes, I kind of do. Because it's kind of cringe at the end of the day. But, like, I can still at least try to understand the sentiment. Obviously, they're just trying to get money out of people like us, but they're at least trying to get some sort of sentiment across in some way, shape, or form. And I'm pretty sure some of the members over there are also part of those communities. But once you believe it, that's not the main reason why, quote, masculinity, is dying in video games or why video games are bad now. The reason why video games are bad now is because of corporate greed, you moron.
I was recently reading an insider interview about what went down at Volition Studios with the disastrous Saints Row reboot from an inside source. This source said that the LGBTQ community within the company was actually pretty small, but they are the loudest and the most annoying, and the company leadership chose to promote these people into key roles.
Now, I want to quickly point something out right here with this particular segment, because, well, once you believe it, he doesn't provide a source to this particular article that he apparently found. Which leads me to one of, I think, at least 3 different conclusions. Conclusion A.
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Conclusion number 2. The article does exist, but the source is from a fucking Grums tweet, which, if you know anything about Grums, he's pretty much the weakest source of any kind of insider information they could ever come across, because this insider is literally just his own asshole, so... Or C, The article is probably not even from a reputable source to begin with, because all they do is pump out a bunch of shovelware articles that basically just promote hatred. I'm willing to believe more on conclusion A, because that at least makes it seem less embarrassing to me. It's still embarrassing, mind you, that you have to try and make shit up in order to actually try and prove your point, but it's at least less embarrassing than putting your trust into some hack job writer or a hack job developer. It's at least less embarrassing than those two options, in my opinion.
And that's how you get the absolute dumpster fire of a game that was Saints Row 2022. I think what you have at a lot of these game studios is about 80% of the staff is probably just hetero dudes trying to do their job, but they're afraid of speaking up or saying what they actually think, and then you have the LGBTQ folks making decisions about what kind of game to make.
What is with these anti-woke losers and using, like, the same exact 2 fucking screenshots of, like, they triggered liberal, like, every single time? Can't they just at least, like, get some new material? Like, I don't even care about the context of this. I'm just getting tired of the same 2 images, man.
So, of course, you get these shitty dumpster fire video games that nobody wants to play. After reading a lot of insider interviews at these developers, this is my sense of what has been happening. I also feel like there's this kind of unholy alliance right now between games journalists, white liberal women at game studios, and the LGBTQ community at game studios.
Oh my god, I don't fucking care.
For fuck's sake. Do I even have to bring up the many different reasons why bringing up Alyssa Mercant as a way to try and prove this weird point that it's you know, the menacing gays that are ruining your video games or anything along those lines? Do I even have to bring up the multiple different reasons as to why even those same, quote, menacing gays that you're probably trying to go after here probably also fucking hate Alyssa Mercant? Do I really even have to try and, like, bring up fucking anything, or do I just leave it as is? Because I've already made an entire video about Alyssa Mercant and her weird-ass Elden Ring review article, and how she, for some reason, tries to compare it to her real life, which was just fucking embarrassing.
And they all seem to be united around one thing. They actually hate gamers.
Jesus fucking Christ. I keep on seeing this weird-ass sentiment that game developers hate gamers, and he's gonna try to elaborate more on this, and it'll just further devalue his point as I actually tear into that one as well. But, there's just so many different reasons as to why this fucking, like, statement right here just doesn't make sense to me. So, just from a marketing and just from, like, just from, like, a standard, I guess you could call it, capitalistic standpoint, why would developers hate their fans? Like, obviously, I think, like, the only studio that I can even think of that actively hates their fans and hates fan projects and fan anything is probably just Nintendo, but that's just Nintendo, okay? That's just an easy punching bag. But, like, other than that, like, the other studios, they just... I mean, either A, they actually do in fact give a fuck about their fans, or B, they at least care enough about their fans from just a monetary perspective, which I guess is still technically caring about them, but obviously very superficially, if you understand what I'm trying to say here. Basically, it just doesn't even make any goddamn sense, okay? But I'll just let it continue to play here while he shows off a very stupid fucking example as to try and prove this stupid-ass statement of his.
And who are gamers overwhelmingly? Well, heterosexual dudes like us, of course.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but that's not really the case anymore. Unless you're gonna be trying to pull some sort of, oh, well, those other gaming communities aren't real gamers. Which is just, I just feel like I don't have to try and elaborate as to why a statement like that would be stupid. Now,
this recent Reddit thread was written by an actual game developer and made me realize this. It reads, headline,
"Am I allowed to say this? I kinda hate gamers."
okay, so I'm not gonna let him, like, read it in this weird mocking voice, and I might as well just point out a few things about this. Now, one thing I will agree on is that the title of this particular Reddit post is absolutely fucking abysmal, okay? Titling it this kind of, like, I guess, in almost like an outrage kind of way is... really, it just comes across as really bad, and it only serves to cause, like, morons like this to try and use it as fuel for a fire that really shouldn't be burning in the first place. But when you actually begin to read into all of it, you begin to realize that they're not talking about every single type of gamer, they're talking about the gatekeepy assholes. When you actually begin to read into it, well, once you know it, they aren't talking about gamers, they're talking about the overwhelmingly loud idiots that try to gatekeep literally fucking everything. They bring up the fact that, like, there's, people that try and state that there are right and wrong ways to beat Elden Ring, or people complaining about the fucking piss filter in the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, or people complaining about Dragon Age, which I know nothing about Dragon Age, so I can't really say too much about that one. And then, of course, bringing up the whole thing about the Fable controversy of the woman not looking like some sort of fucking plastic sex doll for whatever reason. Honestly, I just kind of look at this and I just kind of go like, I can kind of understand where they're actually coming from, because, well, wouldn't you know it, they aren't complaining about gamers, they're complaining about the gatekeepy asshole gamers, wouldn't you know it? And, well, funnily enough, if you find yourself offended by that, then that's a problem with you.
So at this point, it seems that games journalists and all of the liberal LGBT mafia that work at game studios actually hate their audience.
Again, might I just point out the fact that, well, not only is your evidence a Reddit post that once you begin to read into it actually exposes more about you as a person than it does about them, especially given the fact that you're getting mad at it. And on top of that, too, it's one fucking guy on Reddit that's saying this, and you're deciding to use this as a way to generalize the entire fucking gaming industry just off of one guy, which, mind you, we don't even know the identity of the man. We don't even know who the fuck this person is. They could just be some random dumb fuck on Reddit that probably doesn't even create video games and just wanted to make something outrageous as a title in order to vent their actual frustrations about the gaming community. Who the fuck actually knows at this point? Either goddamn way, it doesn't matter, because your source is just one fucking person.
And this is a comment I keep reading from you guys again and again. I swear they literally hate us. They seem to be dead set on giving their audience exactly what we don't want.
Well, wouldn't you believe it, there's still games that you probably would want that actually still exist, because, like I mentioned before, there's different gaming communities. There isn't just the big, burly, masculine men gaming communities anymore. Not saying that that's, like, always been the case since, like, a certain point in time. Ever since the 80s, there have been, like, different fucking gaming communities. Like, I feel like I should probably point this out. The game crash of the 80s is quite literally the main reason why there's so many different genres of video games nowadays. It's because they started to cater to different types of markets and whatever else. They started to cater more towards, like, men and women, and then that started to branch out into different types of game genres that could appeal to different types of people. There isn't just the big, burly, masculine man games that exist, and that hasn't actually been the case whatsoever. Even during the time in which those games existed, there have been games that you would probably deem to be extremely feminine.
This is why when skanks like Alyssa Mercante are crying about Kotaku shutting down and losing their jobs, and game studios are going under because they were associated with Sweet Baby Inc., I just laugh.
Well, wouldn't you know it, so do I, because both of those individuals are kind of fucking stupid. I mean, honestly, I kind of hate to see people actually lose their jobs, like, just in the first place, because, honestly, people just need money in order to live. But, of course, if, like, they kind of make their entire, identity off of just being, like, rage-baity assholes or anything along those lines, then obviously, yeah, I just kind of look at them and just kind of go like, well, what the fuck did you expect?
Let them burn. Let all these companies burn who don't know how to give the audience. The wonderful irony in all this,
by the way, nice fucking editing there, moron.
This is that it's the very games that the woke cancel mob has tried to cancel that seem to do the best. Remember Hogwarts Legacy? Yeah, men who dress in women's clothes tried to get it canceled. Instead, the game sold 25 million copies. Oops. Remember Elden Ring? Remember how the woke mob tried to accuse FromSoft games of having, quote, problematic depictions of women?
Okay, there's a lot to unpack with this particular segment, and I do mean a lot. Let's first start off with the two games that he decides to use as examples of, quote, woke mobs being heavily against it and then causing it to basically become extremely best-selling. When it comes to the Hogwarts Legacy situation, once again, it's an instance of both sides just being really fucking stupid. The one side that was extremely on the side of, like, canceling Hogwarts Legacy didn't actually realize that the developers of Hogwarts Legacy weren't giving any of the money over to J.K. Rowling whatsoever, so there's that. But on top of that, too, the people who were buying Hogwarts Legacy in order to own the trans people were also extremely fucking stupid, because it showed that they were nothing but a bunch of vindictive babies. Like, in that entire situation, it was extremely fucking stupid, but of course it ended up becoming extremely popular because of the controversy. However, when it comes to Elden Ring, it wasn't popular because of controversy. Hell, this article about the, quote, problematic female representation not only is just one fucking article that everybody universally trashed on, including what you would probably call the woke mob, but on top of that too, this article came out after Elden Ring's success! Oh my god! You can't even pick out anything that actually properly fits your fucking narrative anymore at this fucking point. You're just picking out random bullshit and just hoping that it makes sense. And then, of course, to round things off, men dressing in women's clothing. Yeah, of course, I could probably guess that this man was a fucking transphobe. I mean, after all, this man already comes across as one of those big incel losers that projects a lot of his hatred on women onto just the video games that he plays and blames women for everything. And, of course, he has a problem with games, quote, being gay and gay people just being in the ranks and being within video games in the first place. So, of course, it was only natural that this man would also just hate trans people.
We could talk about Stellar Blade, pissing off all of the liberal progressives, and yet everybody went out and bought it.
You know, I could very easily make a joke as to, you know, the real reason why this man probably bought Stellar Blade. But I feel like the screenshot that he decided to use in order to show off Stellar Blade is already enough of a joke to begin with. But I might as well just kind of, you know, at least just make one little note right here, and that is this. The entire Stellar Blade controversy was entirely one-sided, with idiots like the anti-woke crowd basically thinking that Stellar Blade was pissing off the, quote, woke mafia, or whatever the hell that they're calling just regular people with fully functioning brains nowadays. Yeah, wouldn't you believe it, but the entire controversy was just all in their head.
Okay, so in the rest of this video, I want to give you 4 examples of a game or game series going from masculine to feminine or gay, and it basically either killed or ruined the franchise.
Okay, and we're going to be skipping over this particular segment because I could very easily summarize, well, each and every single one of these that he decides to bring up here. So first things first, Red Storm Entertainment, the people who kind of run the Tom Clancy style games, well, that's probably the only part in which I'm actually going to be bringing up a particular segment because, well, it's mainly because I just kind of find what he decides to do here as a justification for why he's angry at Red Storm Entertainment to be just genuinely fucking disgusting.
I mean, motherfucking Sam Fisher, come on. The dude is the ultimate Giga Chad.
Okay, well, 2 clips here. First things first here, this man, I'm not gonna exactly bore you with this, but for almost 10 seconds, even when he's talking about Far Cry 2, he keeps this screenshot of Sam Fisher up for an uncomfortably long amount of time, and he talks this man up as if he's fucking married to the guy. Once again, Andy Pants, can I just kind of, just ask you a question? It's okay, it's a safe space, just you can tell us.
So what is Red Storm Entertainment up to today? Well, I recently saw that Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland is being led by a man who dresses in women's clothes in his free time.
Okay, 3 clips. I keep on forgetting about just how bad this particular segment involving Red Storm Entertainment actually is, but there's 3 clips here that I feel like pointing out here, and of course this is also one, and it's a bit of just like a minor nitpick here, but well, once you know it, Game Penguin ended up looking up this particular individual and found out that not only is she referred to as she and her on her official pages on both the official company website as well as on her LinkedIn, but she's just straight up a woman. Like, this man is just making shit up at this point. I can guarantee you he's probably one of those transvestigators that actually unironically falls for the bait of people calling J.K. Rowling a trans woman.
Tom Clancy would be rolling over in his grave right now if he knew the absolute disaster that Red Storm Entertainment had become.
Well, shall I point out the fact that Tom Clancy was the one that handed over the leadership to these individuals in the first place? Nice job of you trying to pull a Weekend at Bernie's with a fucking man that probably wouldn't actually give a shit and would probably smite you if he had the goddamn chance. But anyways, on to the other games that he decides to bring up here, the other games and whatnot that he decides to bring up. Wolfenstein. He brings up some other spin-off game that apparently exists that nobody actually enjoyed purely because of, well, the actual just kind of like huge divergence from the regular Wolfenstein games. Like, it had absolutely nothing to do with the cast or the people who developed it or the fact that it, quote, went woke or anything along those lines. It's just, it was way too much of a divergence, and it just wasn't even that good of a game to begin with. the Gears of War series, he decides to bring up the fact that apparently the newest Gears of War is now following new protagonists that just so happen to be the daughters or something along those lines of like the main characters or something along those lines, when in fact the main characters actually still fucking exist. They're just more on the sidelines now because, well, wouldn't you believe it, this is taking place in the future where, well, the old soldiers are nearing fucking retirement, so wouldn't you believe it. And of course he brings up Saints Row again because apparently he couldn't actually find any other examples, and we've already gone over the main reason as to why Saints Row has ultimately failed. It had nothing to do with, well, the team developing it or anything along those lines. It just had to do with it being a genuinely shit fucking game. But I think we're just gonna round off the video right there because I've already been recording for far too long. So yeah, we're just gonna round it off here today. But anyways, what did we learn? Well, we've learned that, well, the anti-woke crowd is still just as stupid as you could possibly expect. But anyways, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like. That's very well appreciated. Leave a comment down below what you thought about the video, what you want me to talk about next, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want to see more content such as this. Also, go ahead and follow me on Twitter and join the Discord server down below if you feel like doing so. And yeah, anyways guys, it's been Sandy, and have yourselves a nice day.